Yeah, pretty disappointed. I
Mm,
don't think they were they were like less than average. Let's face it. The guy who ran the show at Celtic Park, that Badescu,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it did nothing. The fact get
Mhm,
dragged sort of in the early-ish in the second half, I think, and they just had nothing. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a great goal. It was a really, really good goal, but
mhm.
there were a couple of little sniffs. They had a couple of sniffs before that as well. So I don't think it was totally undeserved, if you know what I mean. There was
Mm.
and Gordon had to make another couple of good saves, which no offense, but I didn't think that team were that great, and I don't think they should have been getting those chances quite so easily. But they're on their own dung heap, and I guess if you're talking, it's a point away from home in Europe, but a wasted opportunity, and I just hope it doesn't come back and bite us in the bum. Simple as, because we're sitting second in it, but
Yeah,
two losses and two wins to Zagreb,
exactly. And
and
it's all
yeah,
over.
it is all over. So
And I guess that's my biggest fear out of the draw last night because we were, as Martin said, we were pretty much 10 minutes away from qualifying at one stage last night. But see, in terms of the game itself, I wasn't overly disappointed with the way we played. I thought we played some not bad football and we controlled long spells in the game. Yes, they did get a few chances. There was one I remember in the first half that he came to the guy and he kind of he snatched at it quite quickly and he ballooned it over the bar, and it was a really good chance they had. But other than a couple of little glimpses, I thought we were in fairly decent control of the game. To take the lead and go 1-0 up at half time and we held it, I still think we were fairly comfortable. And early in the second half, I think if you remember the chance that Skepovic out on the left hand side played a bit of a 1-2 with I'm not sure who it was that laid it back to him, but he spooned his shot and it was definitely one of those that he should have been at least hitting the target, making the keeper save it. But I think in terms of their goal, again I haven't seen any replays of it, so I can only go with what I remembered last night. But we didn't really clear our line when it fell out to that guy on the left hand side or the right hand side of our penalty box. Now the guys he's still had a bit of work to do. It's fair to say, I think, but he's hit it an absolute cracker, and he's bent it. He's bent it outside of Craig Gordon, who was kind of stretching for it, and he's managed to curve it into the far post. So I'd say it was a really good strike rather than really, really bad defending on our part. It was one of those, if he tried that 7 or 8 times out of 10, the guy would have missed it, I think.
or Gordon
And
would
there,
get a hand to it. It was one of those ones where
yeah, it was.
he hit it, but the only spot where Gordon couldn't have reached it. So pretty much so.
That you're right, because I mean, it wasn't as if it was. There's no way you could blame Craig Gordon for it. The
Oh
guy
God,
had
no.
just put it completely out of reach and managed to bend it round him. So it was unfortunate at that stage, but I mean, right after that, we could have so easily scored. There was another two chances fell to Lee Griffiths, who I thought
That's right.
did quite well when he came on. There was one where he did everything right. He'd knocked it past the keeper, and then he's hit his shot on target, but the keeper's managed to spread himself and push it out for a corner. But then from that corner, I think we got the next chance, and that's when the ball fell to wee Griffiths in the box, and you could tell he's used his body cleverly. I think he smashed it in, but the referee chopped the goal off, unfortunately. But if that was the other way around, I'd have been looking for a foul on the defender. I have to
Yeah.
admit. I know they're kind of saying, the goal should have stood. When I saw the replay, it was quite smart what he did with Griffiths. He put it away very well, smashed it home. But I must admit the whistle went very early. As soon as he'd struck the ball, pretty much the whistle had went. So
Yeah. Well, my
it
my
was just
instinct
a
was
shame.
my instinct was the same as yours. It was when you instinct was it was a free kick. I know
Hmm.
he's come out and said it. And I mean I think the only angles you kind of get was the one like directly behind from memory. I don't think there was anything that I
Hmm.
remember from a sort of side angle that would maybe have sort of proven or not whether it was a push. But I mean
Mm.
he seems obviously pretty certain that it should have been a goal. He's insisting. This is Lee Griffiths that he
Hmm.
didn't touch the guy, and I can see his point. I mean the defender's stretching, but
Hmm.
it's again as you said, it's one of those things that if that was against you,
Yeah,
you'd be calling for the free kick. You know what I mean? As in the barge in the
definitely.
back. tunneling they call it
Definitely.
in the AFL. It's basically a little nudge in the guy as he's jumping to get him
Yeah,
out of the way. But it was soft. But
it
I guess you have
was.
to at Parkhead at Celtic Park would have been given. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, that's true. But again, from my own point of view, I think the most disappointing thing was just the overall result because, as I said, I wasn't too disappointed with our performance. I thought we did fairly well, and I know Salzburg had humped that team before. I know that Zagreb had humped that team before. We struggled at Celtic Park against that team, but I thought our performance last night against them away from home was a lot better than it was at Celtic Park. But I do think as well there's still 2 games to go, of course, in the group, and we're still in charge of our own destiny. But I've got a horrible little feeling, as you hinted at earlier on there, Pat, as well, that we are more than capable of losing our next 2 games because the fact that we're playing Zagreb in Zagreb is not going to be easy. And Salzburg at Celtic Park, they are scoring goals for fun just now, that team, and they are a good team. And okay, they might want to save some players, make some changes because they're already through and they're qualified, but I don't see them. I don't see many teams actually being in a position like that they'll just say, "Oh yeah, we like Celtic, we'll do them a favour and we'll put out a reserve team." It just doesn't work like that in sport anymore. So we've got to be really strong and we've got to make sure. I can't remember. Is the next game that we play, is it against Salzburg or is it away to
Salzburg,
Zagreb?
yeah. Salzburg.
So it's home to Salzburg. So
it's three weeks, I think, from today. So basically Friday morning our time.
Yeah.
I know it's
So
an 8 o'clock kickoff. I do remember that one because it was one of those days where you're
yeah,
somehow going to try and work from home so I can watch the game. But yeah,
nice one.
but don't. And this is the games we've played in Europe, and I think so far in the Europa League we've been a little fortunate on occasions. Now, the thing I fear is this Salzburg are going to spank us. I'll be totally blunt with you because they are playing pretty well. We were probably lucky to get away with a draw over there, and I think they might have something to prove. They're going to go and try and obviously win the group because obviously if we win, then we're not so much pole position, but we're certainly a good chance of winning the actual group. So I don't really want to be getting to the stage where we have to go to Zagreb to qualify, if you know what I mean. So
Exactly.
That's going to be
It could come down to the wire. It could come down to the wire.
It probably will come down because if they beat Astra, then it's going to be exactly that. So it's going to be us needing a draw, them needing to win. So
well, again, if Astra managed, and again, I think everybody's underestimating Astra just now. We've got to remember they have had a change of manager as well, and he certainly. And I did see some comments that Astra they're certainly by no means a European powerhouse, but they're no mugs at times. That they're in fact sometimes they're a little bit like ourselves. They can knock the ball about not too badly at times, but then they'll make silly mistakes and they'll surrender possession really easily. Now that's very similar to ourselves at times just now, but you never know. They might be able to. They've got nothing to lose either. They'll be playing for their pride against Zagreb, and you know if the nerves get to Zagreb, you never know. If they drop 2 points there, then it's all done and dusted.
Yep. Well, the interesting thing is, again, in the commentary of the BT Sport one, is the Derek Ray said that they had scored in every single European game they'd played, and that's when it was 1-0 to us at that stage.
Ah, right, jinx then, jinx.
So yeah, but as you said, if they sneak a draw or something like I wouldn't have thought. Well, you never say never, but in fact, is it in Zagreb or is it in Romania? I forget now.
I can't remember, but I have a feeling the Zagreb humped them away from home, so I think it's in. Oh well, wait a minute, maybe it's not because Zagreb they can't have 2 home games left. Surely they can't have 2 home games left, Zagreb. But anyway, we'll see. While you're checking that, Jim Reynolds has tweeted in anyway to say, "I've got every faith we'll win the group, you greeting-faced bastards."
Fair point.
All right, fair point.
Jim, I think that all 3 of us hope you're spot on, mate. But again, Celtic never do things the easy way, as we all know. And 10 minutes away from qualifying, cruising through last night, and we've made it difficult, and all these little seeds of doubt crop in to the mind again, unfortunately. But I hope you're spot on, Jim, and it's good to hear from you again, mate.
Big one is that we're master of our own destiny, are we not? We win the
We
next.
are.
Exactly.
Right,
I mean, that's what I said at the start. Is it's in our own hands. It's just up to
Yeah.
us, to go out and it's up to us to go and lose it. The Astra game is in Romania, so it's
All
in
right, good.
Giurgiu.
Well, there you go. There's another little factor then. There's another little factor on it. So you never know. Again, you're spot on. If we win our next game against Salzburg, albeit it's going to be a very tough task, then the game's over anyway. We're through. We're through. And right now, I don't care if we finish top or finish second. As long as we get out of the group, I think we'll be happy with that. Okay, so anyway, that's the Europa League. I think we'll wrap up that discussion then about that, guys. But Martin, just before we came on air, and I know we've got quite a short running list of topics tonight, but you had mentioned something that you'd seen on the huddle board earlier on, but I think it's worth maybe mentioning here just now, and we'll run through a few of these little scenarios you're going to come up with and see what we think. Do you want to talk us through what it is?
Look, it was just a guy put on a comment about his actual. It was slightly different from what I'd like to do, but his thing was in your lifetime the top 5 Celtic managers and putting them in order. And I was doing some thinking about that, and rather than do that, I was just thinking, going back and which managers over the years do you rate and don't rate and like. So for me, basically, born in '73, the first one is Jock Stein, and I think he's the greatest manager I've ever had. So, but it's more the idea of if they came back to Celtic Park today, would they be cheered or would we be, would we care? Or would we boo them or whatever? So I'm just going to flick through. I'm on Wikipedia here. I've got all the managers. I'm not going to bother with Frank Connor and Billy Stark with 4 and 3
why
games.
not? Why not, man?
But if I just mention the name to you,
yeah,
I suppose your first reaction, and you know. So, Billy McNeil.
Cheered.
Right, so, Catty's called it high, name stadiums after him type thing. That's my opinion, Pat.
Right, so I reckon we do it in 3 criteria. Right, you either cheer, boo them, or completely indifferent.
Yeah, okay. Right, okay.
Right.
Very much a cheer.
Yes.
Davey,
you were as well, Martin. So that's a comprehensive, quite easy one for Big Caesar. Cheers all round.
Davey Hay.
Cheer.
I'd cheer as well. Alright.
I think this is quite easy.
No, we're getting to the juicy ones.
No. Carry on.
Right,
carry on.
Now we're starting to get Liam Brady.
Indifferent.
I would be indifferent about Liam Brady as well, I have to admit. As much as I liked the style of football we played under Liam Brady, it was a poor spell for us.
See, I liked Liam Brady as a player, as a young boy.
Oh, absolutely.
And that famous old Arsenal strip, the original old, none of that, nothing. It's just basically the sort of the gun crest, I guess.
Yeah.
But playing for Juventus, obviously the old island top as well.
Yeah.
When I think it was a Neil's was the actual sort of maker. It was the old sort of cotton one. I can still remember those. But so it's kind of one of those weird ones that he didn't do anything wrong. He tried his best and it just didn't work out. So
it didn't.
Look, I would think there was also a fair bit of naivety. The money he spent on Gary Gillespie. I think some of those were just mistakes and first time manager mistakes. So I think he's probably judged harshly, but it was if he did more experience. That's my because I remember we signed him and I was really excited about the whole thing. Played down south well, played
He was a big name. He was a big name in European football. That's for sure.
I remember it being a bit of a coup and it being, we've got he's played in Italy, he's played sensational in Italy. I was really excited about the whole thing. And let's face it, he was given, enough time, 91 through 93, so and he was the one that walked away. But I remember it just being quite exciting. But I think I agree with you, boy. I think it's probably he's a bit like a couple of others. If we're looking just at his managerial thing at Celtic, but I think he's also caught up in that. I think quite a lot of us liked him anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was Irish, let's face it. He was Irish and he was famous and he'd done well for himself. That was enough for Celtic fans in those days.
Funnily enough, we're still kind of saying indifferent if he was to return in some... Because I think he wasn't... As a manager, well, and again, I don't know, is this just